Dr.
Not
No?
yet.
Okay.
It is enabled though.
Okay, just one second here.
And it's recording. There we go.
All right. How about now?
Yes.
Okay. Excellent. So I'm going to take about 15 minutes today and give you an overview of a webinar that I did a week or so ago with a couple of colleagues of mine. I think folks know I'm also executive director of a nonprofit called MRII, Market Research Institute International, and we're a nonprofit devoted to market research, education, and training. And we do a lot of webinars. And so I did this webinar with two of my colleagues who are on the board of directors of that organization, John Last and Dan Fleetwood. And basically, I do this webinar every year for like the past 5 or 6 years, where I in January, I do a webinar where I kind of take a look back at what were the big news stories and big marketing stories of the year that was, and what's likely to be coming up in the coming year. And really just what I wanted to share today was kind of give you a sense of how I pull together information from different kinds of sources and pull that together into insights and tell a broad story. So just starting off, looking back at 2021, I go out, I pull a lot of secondary data. And so obviously, and again, I'll sort of go a little light on the insights today and a little bit heavier on the methodology for our group here. But obviously it was a year of chaos and conflict and confusion. And so I said, well, how could I pull together different pieces of data, different kinds of interesting tracking charts that would highlight this? And so I have a little bit of survey data over on the left. Obviously, there's a lot of political division. We know that COVID is obviously reshaping life in every way you can imagine. So I've got a chart on that. I pulled together a chart from the FAA about investigations into unruly air passengers. Not that this is something it's affecting a ton of people every day, but we hear about it on the news. And it sort of adds to the sense of, wow, what's going on? Things are crazy. But at the same time, that if you look at a lot of economic measures, things are actually relatively good. So I tried to pull together data for that. And again, a lot of what I'll share throughout the deck is kind of survey data from a recent survey that I'd done that, we don't have a lot of long-term tracking. So I go and look at secondary sources to pull long-term tracking on stuff. So whether I'm looking at the Dow on the lower left there, or you can pull up, unemployment data and kind of see, well, there was that huge spike, but obviously things are kind of getting back to normal. And there's a lot of talk about, there's the Great Resignation, a lot of people changing jobs. Another area where I try to pull data is because in our business, obviously, we're very interested in how people are spending money. So if you look over on the right, you can pull data on total consumer spending from government sources. Another thing that's often kind of predictive of economic growth is advertising spending. So how much are companies spending on advertising? And there are 3 big advertising agencies that every year they come out with projections for what that's going to be like. And so I try not to overwhelm people with data, but just kind of have screen captures of a couple of headlines, try to boil it down to, what's the general, projection around ad spending, and, across all of these 3 different reports from these 3 different agencies come up with different numbers because they use different methodologies that are different. But I just try to summarize them. Ad spending next year projection to be up 15 to 25%. So that drives a lot of business to business spending, and it's a reasonably good predictor for economic growth as a whole. And in general, in this webinar, we're trying to say what's on people's minds. What are people thinking about? What are their concerns and their anxieties? And search data is a great way to look at that. But a lot of times you can't just look at what are the top search terms. So here I pulled some data from SEMrush. This is from Q3. What are the top search terms? So one of the things that you learn, whether you're looking globally or at the US, is that people are just using Google as kind of their desktop. And that's how they get to wherever they're going on the internet. You see that whether it's global or in the US, a lot of people are Googling Google just to try to get to Google. So if you're trying to use search data as kind of a proxy of what's on people's minds, it's, like I said, hard to use just the absolute numbers of what are the top search terms. So then one of the things that I did was I pulled, well, what are the top trending search terms? And so here, this is all from Google Trends, and you can go in and you can look at, what are the search terms that had a big jump relative to a year ago, and all kinds of interesting stories going on here. Again, I'm not going to go through them all, but like the one, and also we recorded the initial webinar that we did based on this, so you can go and check out the whole webinar and hear our commentary. And we're actually, next week we're going to do kind of like a live Q&A, because we had a pretty good response. We had about 700 people tune into this and lots of questions. So anyway, I could spend hours on this one slide just looking at all kinds of ridiculous things and making lots of snarky comments. But the only one I'll make today is, globally, if you look at the top news search term, it was Afghanistan. In the United States, the top trending search term was Mega Millions. So I think that says a lot about America and where we are now. Again, just to highlight some of the other kinds of data that we pulled together. So Axios, a website that has a lot of commentary on tech and media, they every year kind of pull together this chart that really kind of shows just the fact that the news cycle goes so quickly, that, this is just the first month of the year. They looked at the top trending news stories, and you see all these news stories, get a big bump, and then it falls off very quickly. And then there's some other news story that's got a big bump. And this kind of, in their article, they call it the relentless 2021 news cycle. And it sort of reinforces this notion. There's just kind of this exhaustion among people because there's so much going on. Another thing that I like to do, and I mentioned this before, when you do a survey, you don't have a lot of tracking data. So if you can use secondary data to kind of give you some of that long-term tracking, here is data from Gallup. So they measure American satisfaction with the way things are going right now. Pollsters a lot of times will use a measure called like a right track, wrong track measure. But Gallup has this great long-term tracking on a similar kind of thing, satisfaction with how things are going. And you can see over on the right, well, not surprising, things aren't going great, but you just see the volatility, and the vaccine came along, we thought things were going to get better. And so this is another kind of great secondary resource to share with people. And so this was kind of our review of 2021. And then we start talking about 2022. I talk about kind of the difficulty of predicting the future. But there's this great quote from Carl Sagan, and it sort of went viral again recently when Brian Williams of NBC News retired, and he sort of read this quote. That this is from Carl Sagan's book in 1996, in which he completely nailed so much of what's going on in our country these days. So again, I'll let folks kind of read that at their own leisure. So I'll quickly just highlight just a couple of other things. That we collected some really interesting data, and we did do this at a couple periods of time. So back in July of 2020, we asked people on a bunch of different dimensions. How's your life going personally? How's your life, your family's life, your career, your finances? And then we asked them, how are things going on all these different social and cultural aspects? How's the economy going? How's the country as a whole? How's the job market? And what we found was, when we asked these questions back in July of 2020, so that was just a couple months into the pandemic, there was really a lot of optimism. And we asked people, how are things going right now on all these dimensions? And then how are things going to be going at the end of 2021, kind of a forward projection. And people thought things were going to get a lot better. But now we did the survey again, January 2022. Well, maybe not a huge surprise, but things got a lot worse, not better. And now we're a lot less optimistic about the future. We're kind of just hoping to break even and get back to where we were. So just to give you an example, if we look at the satisfaction with personal aspects of life on a 10-point scale, how's your life going, your career, all these kind of things. Back in July 2020, we were giving a 6.9 on average. And we thought things were really going to be better by the end of the following year. By the end of 2021, we said, oh, that's going to be a 7.6. Whereas now, when we go back, essentially the end of 2021, January 2022, how are things going today? 6.5. So things actually got worse. And how do you think things will be by the end of the year? Just barely better. And, we're just kind of hoping to break even to where we were. So again, this is another way you can start to think about, because people always want to know what's going to happen in the future. So by asking some questions to consumers, how do you think things are going to be in the future? And then do that just a couple periods of time, you can get a pretty good thoughtful perspective on where consumers are at. So I'm going to blow through a lot of this. This I thought was an interesting idea. And again, when I'm trying to share insights with people, I try to do a lot of reading. I try to tap into things going on in other fields. And I think if I had to summarize where consumers are right now, that they're kind of going through the stages of grief. So you may be familiar with this. This is Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, a well-known psychologist who, someone close to you passes away, or if you get kind of a diagnosis of a really serious medical problem, people kind of go through these stages of grief. And I think this is where consumers are right now, because we thought vaccines were going to end the pandemic. And so we had that great sense of optimism. And now that light at the end of the tunnel is gone. And we're kind of grieving that. And you can kind of go through every one of these categories. Starts with denial. This isn't real. It's going to happen. It's going to go away. It's going to magically solve itself. And then people get angry and they're frustrated with the situation. And then they kind of go into the sort of bargaining phase. They're trying to find some meaning of this. They're trying to get some social connection. And then people just sort of go into this phase of kind of learned helplessness, and they're sort of overwhelmed by things. But then finally, and I think this is where consumers are right now, they get to this acceptance stage where they're exploring options. They have a new plan in place. They're moving on. I know a lot of people who said, you know what, I'm going to start traveling again. I'm just going to start, going to basketball games again. And I think really the opportunity for brands is down there at the very bottom, where it says, basically highlights what Elizabeth Kubler-Ross as a psychologist was saying. What would help people? What are people looking for in these stages? How can a psychologist help people at these different stages? And so early on, people want information and communication, and then they kind of get over that, especially as it all gets so confusing. Then they want emotional support. Then they want guidance and direction. And I think that's the real opportunity for brands these days. That with advertising and communications, a brand can go out and say, hey, I know you're rethinking your life right now. You are, crafting new plans. You're sort of, blazing a new trail. You're reconsidering your habits and the way you do things, and we can help you, and we're there for you. If you remember when the pandemic first hit, every brand came out with the same advertisement that it was, in these unprecedented times, we're here for you. But I think kind of the messaging right now would be most effective. It kind of taps into this notion of people are really rethinking things. And while they're in that kind of transformational stage, that's an opportunity for brands to come in. So I think I'm going to pass on most of the rest of this. So one of my colleagues, John Last, does this tracking study. He calls the Back to Normal Barometer. So there's all kinds of good info in here about, what people are looking for, what are people comfortable doing. A lot of people are going back to some of the things they did before and are finding they're not that satisfying. That a lot of people are like, oh, I really want to start going out to restaurants again. And they're going back to restaurants and like, food isn't that great. It's more expensive than I remember, all of that kind of stuff. So again, I'm kind of plowing through a lot of content there. We had some questions where we asked consumers, what kind of activities are you going to try to do more of, less of in the coming year? And so we kind of did the equivalent of a net promoter score, which you might be familiar with. If you ask people on a 10-point scale, how likely are you to recommend a product or service? And then you take the percent of people who say 8, 9, or 10, subtract the percent of people who say 0, 1, or 2. That percentage is often called a net promoter score. Super popular, imperfect, but super popular overall measure of a brand and its engagement among consumers. And so we did a similar kinds of thing, but looking at the different kinds of activities just to try to get a sense of what is it people want to do more or less of. And then the final thing that I would highlight that we did, even though it was largely a quantitative survey, we also asked some purely open-ended questions and then just tried to code them up at a very high level. We said, what do you think the coming year is going to be like? And so, we got all kinds of responses. And then I went through and I tried to group them in terms of some of the some of the big themes that are coming up. So, so that's really all I wanted to share. And I hope that's kind of a good overview of how I like to pull together data from all different kinds of sources and use all those together. It just tells a more interesting story. And as a research geek, it's comforting to me to know that, hey, I ask these different questions in really different ways, but I'm getting to the same general themes about consumers. So, so that's all I wanted to share today.
Thanks, Dr. K. Parth, do you want to jump in next, or?
On you, bro. If you want me to do it, I'll do.
Okay, I will jump in. Let me go ahead and share my screen here. So I'll jump into some of the practical things that I do on SEO and some of the things I did to get a job doing some of these things. Let me pull up the right. I have a bunch of stuff. So let's see, get this out the way. Okay, so you can see my screen. I want to go over what a search engine, we all know what SEO is, right? So I don't need to dive into that and why it matters, but so what's on a search engine result page and how it means to be found. So it's going to look differently based on what you're searching. So this is a query search, how to. I just put how to throw a punch. And the first thing that comes up is a video, which shows why YouTube SEO is important. The people always ask box, and then your organic results followed by more videos. So this shows that YouTube, optimizing your YouTube channel is a great strategy to get your content on the first page, because if you get the first page, get on the higher you are on the first page, the more likely you are to get somebody to convert. The next I have is lizards. I don't know, don't ask me why, but the first thing up here is image search. We have a Google excerpt from Wikipedia, and then the people always ask box. Why are lizards bad pets? Are lizards good pets? These are common questions typed into it that link to an FAQ. So this is why having an FAQ on your website using is important, because you can get your content listed here, and all these are different websites. So if you can take over as much real estate as possible. And the last thing I want to show is like Oakland Auto Body. And this is a map search, and this brought up a lot of different geographic locations. So there's a lot of different ways to take over real estate on the front page of a search engine. And the more chances you have at taking over the front page, the more likely you are to get somebody to click to your website and work them through your consumer conversion funnel. So the next thing I want to dive into is how to perform a performance audit on your website. Oh, sorry, Pelak, you have a question?
Yes, hi, sorry. I am actually very new to the intricacies of digital marketing. So I'm sorry if my queries are really simple or stupid. It's just that you mentioned that, a video pops up for the punch thing. So how does it work? Because the video comes up because it's one of the most viewed videos, or the people have coded it that way, or?
Yes, that is part of it. So let me go back in here. How to throw a punch. It's one of the videos that is, it's from BuzzFeed. So when you click on the video, not only is it a popular video, oh no, they monetized it. Sorry. Oh, it's a forced ad. So they're making you watch it. So we can look at this. It does have a lot of views. It's from BuzzFeed with over 10 million subscribers. But it's the questions. How to throw a perfect punch is the exact query that we're searching. And where am I going to find it here? This. Their content, the write-up will have a lot of the keywords that link to it with the comments and the views. So there's a lot that goes into getting your video on the search engine. It's not just the title, but it'll be the title, the transcript. They probably have their transcript listed out, which has the written words, which Google is looking for. And the video itself is widely viewed. So popularity, page rank, domain rank, that does have a lot of impact into it, but the terms is really it. And I'm going to dive into that too. And you're going to, if you're taking digital marketing or you're familiar with SEO, it starts with the search terms. So before I dive into the keywords, maybe I should just dive into the keywords right now. So it all starts with your keywords. And this website is called Ahrefs. This is an SEO tool. There's other popular ones like Moz or SEMrush that we'll be using. But Ahrefs is my favorite. And it all starts with your keyword, what people are typing into Google. And, do you ever have a friend or a parent who's really bad at searching for things on the internet? And it's almost like a skill to go in and search the right thing, right? you know. So Google uses what you type in there, the keyword. There's different, you know, short-term keyword like parkour, or a long tail keyword, you know, like parkour gym, or even going further, parkour gym for kids, you know. Gives you more refined search. So as you get more words to find specifically what you're looking for, that is SEO, and positioning your website or your web content to be found that way. There's a lot of different ways to do it by structuring it within your website, and we'll dive into that. I could spend 20 hours on this, so I'm giving you the highlights. So the two main things I want to talk about in this toolkit is the keyword research, the keyword explorer, and you can type something in here. I just typed parkour, and you're going to get how popular, you know, how hard it is to rank. It's a 61, it's hard. How much search volume this gets a month, 105,000, the traffic potential, and the global volume and where it's being searched in the United States, Brazil, Mexico, Germany, Italy. It shows you where these searches are coming from. And also other keyword ideas when you're exploring these keywords, you know, parkour, you know, what other search terms are involved, what kind of questions and queries that people are typing into. This is really good because, like I said, if you can get in that people always ask box, that's another real estate to take over on the front page. And that's why you need to have an FAQ on your website. And, you know, other things that people are talking about, give you an idea how to write your content about, what they're ranking for, and just how popular the search is over time, and who's getting these results. So there's a lot going on here. You know, this gives you a search engine result page sample preview. And there's so much going on with the keyword ideas. So this is a hard term. So unless I was really aggressive about ranking for the information of parkour or making parkour videos, I might want to get something a little bit better. So I go to parkour gym, say I'm a parkour gym. It's a little bit easier to rank for to get that front page, you know, but it still seems like there's a lot going on. So say I'm in New York and I'm looking for somebody that's closer to making this conversion. While, you know, 6,000 searches is nice, my parkour gym in New York City, it's not going to help me. But if I localize this to parkour gym NYC and build content on my website around that and have write-ups, this is an easy to search for term with 150 searchers. So this moves further down that funnel, that the people that are searching for this are probably most likely to come visit my gym, be my customers, and convert. So that's the benefit of using a long tail keyword, is it's usually closer to match the user's intent on their search, like what they're looking for. They're probably closer to the conversion cycle. They want to find it near them. They're ready to buy, they're ready to convert, whatever. Versus a generic information subject, you know, it's like, hey, I'm interested in the subject, but I'm not ready to convert. The next thing I want to show you on this toolkit is, there's so much going on here. You can look at the site audit, rank tracker, content explorer, so much. We can spend hours here. But the second thing I want to show you is you can do a SEO audit and just kind of explore what's linking to your website. I just put my wine guide in. So does anybody have another website they want to take a look at? Or I can just go ahead and kind of review what these are. Yeah, Meshley, you want to recommend a?
Yeah, actually, I just have a question. Is this a free like a platform that can be used, or do we need to pay for it? Kind of like SEMrush.
This is a paid platform. This is my personal account that I use at my job. But they give you a 7-day trial for $7. Right. And I've done Moz and I've done SEMrush, and I feel like I get so much more value out of Ahrefs than I do with Moz and SEMrush, because what they do is they end up piecing out a lot of the platforms, like, oh, to click, pay $50 to get more, you know, and that's just kind of the SaaS business model. But with Ahrefs, they give you more for your bank. So I have the $99, I have the really basic, the low one, and I get so much value for $100. So using it as needed, but you get a 7-day trial, so for $7. So if you need to do a quick project and you only need it for a week, the trial is worth it to just go for it. Sorry, I saw someone else had their hand up. Was another question?
That was me. Yeah, sorry. So how different is it from Google Analytics?
Google Analytics is a tool that shows you where your web traffic comes from, but only in Google. This is more refined on specific SEO things. And this is just the site explorer. So you can type any website in here, usfca.edu. Is it going to pull up? It does. So it just shows you, you know, things like where this ranks, the URL rating, how like strong your URL is, and the domain authority that you have. And this is different for everybody's, but it's very similar to the Google PageRank. The amount of backlinks pointing to your website. referring domains. So I guess this is most similar. It's kind of like there's elements of Google Analytics and elements of Google Search Console. And both of those need to be used together because Search Console will tell you who's linking to your website. But this is more refined for SEO, telling you where your traffic is, organic keywords, any potential things. But what it does differently than what Google does is, we'll dive into this right now. Where is it? Competing domains. Google Analytics will not tell you how your traffic ranks against somebody else. This is only giving me the top 10 because I want me to pay more because I have the lower subscription. But this is showing you, SFSU, eat it, CCSF, all the different schools that are competing for similar traffic, common keywords, unique keywords, and unique keywords to the competitor, and unique keywords that we can look at, that they're getting that we're not, that we can potentially explore. So that's the main difference. Is Google Analytics shows how your paid search, how your organic search, shows how your referral partners are going. This only deals with organic search. This is how people are finding you in a search engine. And this does Bing, Microsoft, Yahoo, Yandex, all the big ones, Safari, how they find your website. And most importantly, how many links you have, where they're coming from, and helps you kind of identify how to increase this over time. So if you look, since 2014, USF's been adding more and more backlinks to its page. Pages have come off and come on over time. This is normal, the up and down, but the domain rating has stayed constant. It's because it's an EDU. So there's a lot of different opportunities here. And you can kind of get an idea of how healthy your site is. And, it even gives you your traffic value, how much your traffic is worth, your PPC campaigns. We can even take a look at, I thought this is some of the coolest stuff that they've done. This is new, the paid keywords. So when you are really trying to see what other companies are doing, you can kind of go in and investigate what their PPC campaign is and how you can position your sites better on their strategies. Give it a second to load here. My computer's doing a lot of stuff and my computer's old. So there's a lot of different things. These are the words that USF is bidding on to try to link back to us. These are the keywords, and Parth will dive deeper into the paid keywords versus organic keywords. But there's so much going on here. Link domains. These are companies that are linking, or domains that are linking to us. Content Gap, sorry, not Content Gap. Sorry, where was I? I'll just go back to the overview. Back to the things that we were talking about, but an overview 2.0. Now, how to use this for work. If I was an SEO, how would I use the site? I wouldn't search my site. So say I am, cool, this is giving us our overall performance, our referring domains. A lot of the same stuff, our best performing pages, and the traffic share per country. US #1, India #2. Woo! Shout out India. So say I work at USF and give me a competing school. I don't know any of these other ones. What's Berkeley? Is it berkeley.edu? UC Berkeley?
You can search for San Francisco State.
Is it sfsu.com?
Yeah.
sfsu.edu. So say I'm the other university and I want to go and try to poach some of their web traffic, or I'm USF. So the things I would do is I'd go over here to their broken backlinks first. I see who's linking to them, that their backlink is broken, and how can I poach some of this traffic? And this is just my brain working. These are all pages that are linking there, and 404, all these 404. So I would approach each one of these websites and say, hey, I see this link is broken. Would you want to link to me instead on similar content? I can also go to see what kind of domains that are linking to them and say, hey, I've got a more superior product and I'm linking to them. I'm sure you can use your imagination, but this tool is so robust, I'm not going to cover it all in 20 minutes, and I want to make sure I can get to the next thing. And I'm more than happy, you all know who I am, to do a deeper dive. Look, can I look up Embassy Sports? Yes, I can. Sorry, I just saw this. I don't look at the chat. Boom. embassysports.com/Bay Area. Let's check it out. And so a lot of these larger websites are going to have a more refined, robust backlink profile and will be more complete, but there's always room for improvement. So let's go check out NBC Bay Area, and we'll stay on here mainly on the overview because I can spend hours on this, and I do. This is my job. Like, I have to like know all this. And I showed up with this. If you know how to use these tools and you show up to a job interview for a digital marketing position with some of this already in hand and some of your research done, you just look like you're so much more than now. You see NBC Sports really started exploring on their domain or backlinking. You see it increase over time. They got a really healthy domain rating. The closer to 100 you are, the better your website is. Just so you know, Facebook has 100, and they have billions of backlinks, 6.2 million. This is insane. Over 460,000 keywords, and they have some PPC value and traffic value. So look at that, 5 million do follow. That's great. Some sponsored text, a handful of redirects, that's normal, and some EDUs. So this is a really robust tool to use, and covers everything from your top landing pages, the PPC keywords, organic keywords. So I want to stop draining on about this tool. I would love to show you more in class or a USF. Just approach me, corner me into a corner and say, hey, Greg, show me that thing. There's the keywords tools again. So I want to show you the last thing, the secret of my arsenal is Lighthouse. If you don't know Lighthouse, no problem. If you don't know Lighthouse, it's a free Google developer tool to test your web speed. And so SEO, Google ranks SEO on a couple different things. Oh, sorry. One thing I want to show you. This is the Ahrefs Chrome extension. So any website I go to, I can see the domain rating, the amount of backlinks, and kind of see every website. So as I'm clicking around competitor websites, other websites, I can get an idea what they're doing or not right here from this. And Ahrefs is a bunch of robust developer tools too. You can download. They have a WordPress plugin now, so you can use that instead of Yoast. This is just one of the other cool features you get from Ahrefs by using them. Moz has one too, but like I prefer Ahrefs just for many different reasons. So anyway, back to Lighthouse. This is a free Google developer tool. If you don't already have it installed, but let me show you how to use this. This is Ultra Music Festival, one of the best music festivals in the country. Great place to go party. Go once in your lifetime. Anyway, go to inspect. You can inspect the source code. Move this. None of this really matters unless you're looking at their H1, H2s, and we're going to go all the way over here, not to network. This is going to show you the web speed and how things load, but all the way down here, we expand this to Lighthouse. Lighthouse is the free Google developer tool to go into website performance. It's kind of like Search Console. It explores it, a site from mobile and desktop. So let's launch the desktop report first, and we're going to let it warm up. And it's going to give you all this free insights to see how you can perform, increase a website. So this looks like a well-polished website from the front end, but we're going to find some opportunities here. And in digital marketing, especially in the digital landscape, being able to just understand this and know that Google ranks on domain ranking, how many backlinks, the relevance, the keywords, but also web speed. So how fast and usable your website is plays a big piece to how your website will rank. Wrap this up in 5 minutes and I'll dump off to Parth so I'm not rambling over in circles. So this just takes a couple minutes to get up. You can do this for literally any website. Look at that, 28 performance. And why is that 28? Is this the desktop or did I do accidentally launch mobile? Anyway, so first content full paint, 1.2 seconds. That means that's how long it takes for the first image to load. Speed index, 4.9 seconds. Total blocking time, 2.280 or 2,200 whatever milliseconds. You want this to all be green as possible, and there's all these opportunities here. Largest content full paint means how long it takes for the largest thing to show up. Eliminate render blocking resources, and these are a lot of things that it's okay if you don't know what any of this means, but you just need to be able to perform a diagnostic and send it to your web team. Reduce JavaScript execution time, accessibility. They do not have the same contrast ratio. So that means it's that the code has to do something else before it shows up. So just small things that you can improve your website by 200, 300 milliseconds at a time. Best practices, display images with incorrect aspect ratio. Oh, it even tells you the websites. So Lighthouse is a great tool to have. SEO, it even shows how many links are not crawlable. Links that don't have descriptive text. This is one. This is a big website that still isn't perfect. And let me close this out. I'll refresh this. And you know what? Let's for this page. Let's disable this and let's run Lighthouse one more time. So we get there, right click, inspect. Now we're going to run this from the perspective of a mobile site. So all the way over here, Lighthouse, we're going to click mobile, generate report. As you see, it's going to do it from the perspective of a cell phone, because if you don't know, Google is switching to a mobile first priority. Most of the searches in the world come from a mobile device, and desktops are becoming less and less of the market share over time. So if your website is not ranked for mobile, you will be missing out on most of the traffic. You will not be ranking first if you do not optimize for mobile first. You can use responsive themes and all that, but make sure your team, and get this a priority across your company, to optimize for mobile. I can't tell you how many arguments. Look at that, 10. This is an international festival that makes billions of dollars. 10 from the performance. That's so bad. And it just takes forever for this to load. You know, I can't believe I could go get a job at Ultra now, and it shows you what it looks like from the mobile's perspective, how long it takes for stuff to load second by second. And I think that's a really good tool. So something's going on with their code. You need to fire their web team. And there's a lot of things that go well. And I'll show you one more. I'll close my wine guide, but this is the East Bay Regional Parks Association. Big fan, Rajiv Brahini. You guys live in the East Bay. This is our best friend that shows you all the great hiking spots in your backyard. So we'll run Lighthouse on this site. And I was impressed that I was like, what? The East Bay Parks Company had a better site than the music festival. But that's just a really good tool to analyze web performance, and it's free from Google. So make sure you know how to use Lighthouse. And there's tons of free videos that will explain what each one of those things are. And I could spend hours on this, but for the sake of time, I'm going to wrap this up right now and move on to paid search with Parth. Paid search with Parth. And here, I'll let this load. That's what it looks like from the mobile site. And this was better. They had a 91 on their SEO. I could not believe that they had a better performance, but trying to get these as close to green, it's hard to get 100, but getting all of these above 80 to 90 will increase your overall ranking and performance in Google. So that's it for me. Those are the tools: Ahrefs, Lighthouse, and search engine results. Thank you for listening, guys. Is there any questions I can clear up?
The only thing I would jump in and emphasize is that obviously it's important to, if you're a brand, you're a company, you want to be on that first page of Google search results. So there's a joke in the industry that if you're looking to hide a dead body, hide it on page 2 of Google search results, because nobody will ever find it. And so that's why, all this SEO stuff is really important, but it changes really quickly. Like if you type in a search term into Google, you get the results back. That's called a SERP, a search engine results page. And if you look at SERPs from like 5 years ago, they were really simple and really basic. And it was just, oh, here's, here maybe, a few Google paid ads up at the top, but then it was just kind of, here are a bunch of links you can check out. Whereas now, if you go look at a SERP, like some of the results we saw, it's multimedia, it's got images, it's got these knowledge panels, it's got featured snippets. And basically, like, all of that stuff is really designed to keep you in the Google ecosystem. So I was working a couple of years ago for a company where we could track, what do people do when they search for something on Google and then they get that search engine results page. And basically over time, there's a growing number of what's called no-click searches. So a growing number of people search for something on Google and then they don't click on the search engine results page. And that's because Google has put so many of the common answers right there. And this is a big deal. Google is getting sued by the government on like antitrust issues. And basically publishers are saying, hey, when you get that Google search engine results page and you see all those knowledge panels and featured snippets, that's, basically content that Google is stealing from publishers. And then publishers never get any monetization from that because people never click through and go to that publisher's page.
That was a huge thing with their image search, because you used to be able to just click the image and go straight to the image without clicking on the page that the image was like featured on.
Yep. Or, if you go searching for something on a map, they're going to take you to Google Maps, even though there are other mapping sites. Or like if you're looking at restaurants, I can guarantee you that, the results you get from Google are going to send you to Google Maps and not to Yelp. And, Yelp has also been suing Google, saying, hey, Google is just, stealing all of our content. They're shuffling people just to their own sites. So it's good for us to, in the industry, know that, but it also reinforces this point of like, you got to be on that first page of Google results, or otherwise you're going to miss out on all the eyeballs.
Yeah, you got to be on that top half of that first page. So most people won't even scroll down to see the second result. And there's a statistics out there that shows like you get 35% of the clicks if you're 1, and then it drops to like 10% if you're 2, and then it's like 3% if you're 3. So it's like if you're not in the first 3, you're wasting your time. And yeah, I'll answer any questions before we move on. Yeah, sorry. I get passionate about SEO, so I'm sorry.
No, I think I have a similar question to my first one. I'm going to say everyone will be hiring, a digital marketing manager, or everyone will be working on the right keywords and, how you look up for the company, the SEO, etc. In spite of all this competition, how do you make sure that you are coming up number 1? What if it's a new company? If they put the same words, if they hire the best manager, they have the whatever tech, you may just still get drowned, right? There are, I'm going to say, yes, 7 billion people.
Absolutely. To answer that is it's always a struggle. There is no winning. So you have to, it's a constant battle. It's constantly backlinking, building links. PR plays a big part of it. And a lot of it is organic, right? For people first, not for machines, because relevance and traffic, if you have existing customer base going to it, you're a trusted site. Google is real quick to know this, but you will have to get on that front page, and then, the paid search will also start triggering your SEO. So they'll look at your traffic. So Parth will get into how this SEO then bleeds over into the paid search. So it is a constant battle, but knowing how this works. And remember when we had the Qualum meeting and Indes was saying that he had to get creative, and he was writing content on his competitors that were getting funding. So when people were searching for his competitors, he was like the second search for Qualum, and he was just siphoning off traffic. So it's like, you got to get real smart. And that's when it's like, SEO needs to work with other departments, and it can't be a siloed process. And it's hard. It's not an exact science, as Professor Langham was saying yesterday. It's an art. There's no exact way to do it. There's no right way to do it, but there is a wrong way to do it. So I hope that answers your question. There's a lot of perspectives on it, and we can spend hours on SEO,
Thank you.
And Meshley, do you have your hand up too, or?
Oh, that's an accident.
Oh, okay, cool. So I will give this to Parth. Parth is very knowledgeable on paid search. Like, again, these are massive subjects we're trying to break down and just kind of get your feet wet into what this is and some of the practical things that we did. And, if you're going for a digital marketing interview or performance marketing or analytics, any of that, get that Lighthouse report, because I did that when I went for my interview, and I just blew away my hiring manager. She loved it, and I got the job. So
so I think so now we can just Greg sleep, because he has spoken too much.
Thank you. I hate my voice.
Yes. So Palak, just going on to your question, that what is this cycle? So, and how is this cycle going to continue? So just to break through this cycle and do things pretty quickly, we have something called as paid search. And that is why I am a huge fan of paid search. SEO is that, grandpa kind of stuff, wherein it takes you 6 long months, 1 year, 1.5 years to, get those results. Why? Because you are competing with a lot of people when you go out in the market, and specifically for a brand which has just been established or which is just coming into a market, you are competing with brands who are there from 10 long years, 15 long years, and who are doing this from past maybe 5 years, 10 years down the line. So the best way to go with it is combination of SEO and SEM, and that is what I'm going to go over right now. I'll just share my screen. Let me know if everybody can see this screen which I'm showing right now.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'll just go through an overview of what is Google Ads. So Google Ads is basically the advertisements which we show on the Google search results page. Just to give you an example, if I go to, just a second. if I go to this particular page over here, so if I've just searched a random search term that says cars, so the first two results, these are the ads. And how you get the results at the first two positions is you pay for that particular position, that I just want to show my ad at the first or the second position or the top three positions. So you are basically bidding for these positions. No matter what, your results are going to come over here. So that gives you an edge when you are actually bidding through Google Ads. Why? Because you pay some money for these positions. So as we were speaking about, nobody goes to the second page. You don't have that fear over here. You already have it covered. When anybody searches for cars, you have these two results which are going to be shown up. Next, I just want to give you a brief on different type of ads. So these are called as search ads. So this particular section right over here, just the first 4 lines. So this is what is called as the headline. These are the next 3 lines are what are called as descriptions. The bottom 2 are called as structure snippets. So say, for example, if I don't want to go to the main website, in my mind, I have fixed that, okay, I want to buy a used car, which is under $25,000. I can just click over here and it will take me right to the page where I want to go. So this is the page where I can see all those cars which are under $25,000. So like this is something which is called a structure snippet, which takes you to that particular page where you need. This sometimes you can see an ad over here also, that what people have been searching. So those are the keywords which you use in one particular campaign, and those keywords are highlighted over here. And if you click on that particular keyword, say if I click on car games, sometimes I can see ads over here as well. So like those are how Google Ads kind of function, wherein Google Ads give you the recommendation on what kind of search terms, if you search, you will get the right kind of result. Moving on, I'll just show you the next type of ad, which is called as a display ad. So here I can see a car insurance ad. Why? Because I have been searching for cars. This is one cars.com website. If I just scroll down, I can see a display ad over here. So these are called as banner ads. We also have a different kind of ads which are called GIFs. So in GIFs, one of the advantage is that you can have 3 different ad copies in just one particular ad. So this one thing can give you 3 different ad copies because it is a GIF model. Whereas these are like 3 different ones, wherein you are giving 3 different messagings over here for display ad campaign. If you just keep scrolling down, so this is something wherein it talks about auto insurance. So this is another banner ad. If you just keep scrolling down, so if it's a huge website, then you go down and you see different kind of recommendations as well. Since they have a very short page, so you don't see those recommendations over here, but you also get recommendations based on what type of keywords you're targeting through your display ad campaigns. Then we have something called as shopping ads. So if I have searched for Nike shoes, so these results which I can see over here, so these are called shopping ads. When I click on this, I get redirected to Nike store, which is a e-commerce platform wherein I can go and place my order for this particular shoes. So Google has a feature called as Google Shopping Ads, wherein you can list all your SKUs through that platform. We also have YouTube ads, which we are very familiar with because we deal with YouTube ads on a day-to-day basis. And we see that like there are 3 different kind of ads, which are 6-second ads, skippable ads, and non-skippable ads. Non-skippable ads are for 15 seconds. Skippable ads are for 15 or 30 seconds with a skip button, which comes into play after 6 seconds. And there is one small 6-second ad, which is not skippable, but you just see it for 6 seconds. So these are 3 different ad types for YouTube campaigns. Up till here, if anybody has any questions, any doubts?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yeah.
For like YouTube ads, can you put like a certain amount of budget, kind of like you do on Google ads, like saying, hey, I don't want to spend over like $200. Can you do that?
Yes, you can do that. I'll just show you when I will start an overview of the Google Ads platform. So I'll just show you how video ads look like, what kind of budget can you give to video ads, and what kind of strategy can you use so that you get the optimum impressions and the optimum clicks on your video advertising as well. So just moving on to the overview of the platform. So this is the general overview of Google Ads. So here you just get an overview of what are the number of clicks, what are the number of impressions, what is the CPC. CPC is cost per click. That if anybody is clicking on your ad, what is the amount you're paying? So currently it is at $1.66. What is the total cost which you have spent? That is $21,700 is what you have spent as of now. When you go here, you can select the date range, that from what date range to what date range do you want to see those results. If I consider, say, for example, from Jan 1st, 2021 to maybe Jan 1st, 2022, I see 1 year data. In the last 1 year, I have got 46,000 clicks, 3.77 million impressions. My CPC, average CPC, what I've paid is 0.72 per click. And the total cost which I've spent is around 33K. When I go to campaigns, so here is where I can see the campaigns which I'm running over here. So these are search campaigns which I'm running right now. So there are all the search campaigns which I can see. So the question regarding the budget. So here is where you can give different kind of budgets to each and every campaign. So if I just want to edit this particular campaign budget, I can just go over here and I can select maybe $50 and I can do that changes. So that is how easy Google Ads platform is. So there are different kind of bidding strategies as well available. Currently, we are running on like certain are target CPA and certain as maximize conversions. What does maximize conversion mean? Is that through this particular campaign, I want to maximize the number of leads to be generated on my ads. And that is the reason I'm running it on an automatic bidding strategy, which is called as maximize conversion value or maximize conversions. What does maximize conversion value means is that, say my ticket size is $1,000. What has to be my conversion value to, at least break even? That has to be somewhere between, $1,000 to $1,500. So any conversion which I'll get will be in that particular range. So that is how this particular bidding strategy works. That is called as maximize conversion value. If we go down, we have certain called as maximize conversions, which I explained earlier, that I need maximum conversions out of my campaign. And there are other kind of bidding strategies present as well, which is called as manual CPC, where I have the total control on that particular campaign, that how much ever budget I want to spend, what ad has to show, how many times, what is the CPC I want for that particular ad. Everything is under my control. Nothing is controlled by Google. So that is called as manual CPC. Then we have, different kind of bidding strategies. We have around 10-12 bidding strategies, which we can discuss further. I'll just give you an overview of the normal terms which we look when we analyze one particular campaign. So I just see that what are my impressions for this particular campaign, how much impressions I have shown in the last 1 year. So that is 34,000 impressions from this particular campaign. What is interaction? Interaction is the number of clicks which I've got. So number of impressions is I have been out there 34,000 times, but people have interacted with me only 3,000 times. And that is what my interaction rate is. That is 9.80%. So I'm around that 10% mark, which is a very good sign. Why? Because, generally the Google in Google Ads, measurements, what we understand as the best practice is somewhere between 5 to 8% is the interaction rate. But if you are getting above 8% or above 10%, that is a fantastic campaign which you are running. So over here it's 9.80. So 9.80 is quite good. And I am paying average CPC. The average cost is basically the average CPC which I'm paying. That is 2.48. That is per click. I'm paying $2.48. And I have spent a total of $8,264 for this whole campaign to show these many impressions and get these many clicks. What is conversions? These are the number of leads which I've got from this particular campaign. That is 996.92. Generally, we don't get it in points, but there can be some issue in the Google Analytics wherein we are tracking it in points, but generally we don't get it in points. It's always in a whole number. So it's 9.66.92. That is the number of conversions which we have got, or the number of leads which we have got. What is the cost per conversion? And that is 8.29. So any conversion which I'm getting it at a cost of $8.29 per conversion. So that is what is called as cost per conversion. And what is my conversion rate? My conversion rate is almost 30%, which is a really good conversion rate to have, because any person who is landing on your website, seeing your product, 30% of those audience are getting converted, is what this 30% means. That there are 30% of the people who are getting converted at a cost of 8.29 per conversion. Any doubts, any questions?
Yeah. So, I'm going to say you're paying to be visible on Google so that people come onto your website. There are two parts. Sometimes you click by mistake and then you just close the website. Secondly, how would you know whether the cost of conversion, like the amount you're paying, is high or low? I'm going to say this is 8.29. I'm seeing other higher numbers. And of course, the conversion rate is high, low, depending on that. Wouldn't the budget become too big if maybe, I'm going to say, big companies can afford it? How can mid or small size companies capitalize on budget management?
Yeah. So answering your first question, that, I can click it by mistake. Yes, you can click it by mistake. So when you click it by mistake, so there is certain metrics which is called as average spend time. So if your average spend time is less than 30 seconds, Google doesn't consider you as a click. So, there you don't lose out on your money, because you are considered as a click only when you spend your time more than 30 seconds on that particular website. So once you are done spending 30 seconds, you are considered as one click. So that is how the click metrics works. And that is how your budget is, subtracted from the total budget for that particular campaign. And regarding what you asked, that why only big companies can afford spending high amount of money on Google Ads, it is not that. What you can do is that big companies, what they do, they target it in different kind of segments and different kind of areas. But if you have a very small product and you know that it's a very niche market, everything depends on the keywords which you target. If you're targeting a keyword which has maybe 2,000 or 3,000 search volume, there is a lot of competition on that particular keyword, wherein a lot of people are bidding. If I am bidding $10, there are people who are going to bid $100 as well. So don't go into that area where you cannot afford to be there. Go into the area where you know that, okay, I am going to be the leader, and whatever I bid, I am going to succeed. So getting those long tail keywords or targeting those keywords into something called as exact match type. I'll give you a brief on what match types are and how does match types work. So based on that, you can control the amount of spends which you do. So just to give you a brief, if I go to keywords, if I go to search, so over here, I have arrow sign spinners. So this is an exact match type keyword. Anybody who is only searching this keyword, if he's searching maybe by sign spinner for hire or something like that, if there is something attached to some adjective, adverb, so anything is there, your ad will not be shown. Your ad will be only shown when these three keywords are present in your search term, nothing apart from that. So that is where you are controlling your budget and you are not giving your budget away for unnecessary search terms. One of the big no-no is this particular search term. This is running in open broad match type. Open broad match type is, even though if I just have for in my search term, I'm searching, say, for example, shoes for kids. I have that for in my keyword. This ad can trigger over there. It is highly relevant, but this is running in open broad. So you don't have any control on this particular keyword. Why? Because you have not given it a perfect definition of where you want to show that ad. So that is a big no-no. All these keywords, if you say this particular keyword, you don't have to run it in open broad, because anybody searching, maybe somebody searching for signs of a traffic signal, but still they can see this particular ad. Why? Because it is running in an open broad match type. So, controlling that is very important.
Which campaign is that, Parth? Oh, CM sign spinners.
Yeah, CM sign
Okay,
spinners.
that's the one. that my boss set up, and we argue
Yeah.
about it. So thank you for
Yeah.
echoing, because I'm like, yes, I'm right. I knew it.
Yes. So there are a lot of different kind of match types as well, which we have to, have a look on and have to judge based on where do we want to spend our money on. Because this is very vital, because when I started running my campaigns, I used to have a budget of around $500, and I did not used to understand where my money is going. Then I started learning upon, okay, there is something called as a match type as well, wherein if I only use that particular exact search term, I'm going to spend less amount of money. So that is how you can optimize your campaigns and restrict where you want to show your ads and save that money and utilize it in the right place.
Okay, thanks. This was very helpful.
Yeah. Rohini, you had a question.
I wanted to know, I mean, is there a way to determine how many impressions one gets? Like, I mean, depending upon the budget, like the first ad that you showed, so that had a higher number of impressions, but the like the pages which were listed below that, so they had a lower number of impressions. So how do you like determine that?
Okay, so if you go to tools and settings over here, and if I go to ad preview tool, just a second. Greg, by any chance, do you know how do I disable the whole thing?
How do I what?
The Zoom taskbar. What do you call this?
What am I looking at?
Yeah. So just if you go to tools and settings, and if you go to ad preview tool over here, what you can do is ad preview and diagnostic. So just I am taking arrow as a keyword. I will do that search, and I'll see that where, like, what am I seeing as a result. If I go to say, for example, keyword planner, and if I search for that particular keyword, discover new keywords, and if I say Control V, and if I say results, so over here you can see that what is the search volume. Okay, so based on this search volume, like there are certain set of formulas which we learn when we actually get into paid marketing, that what is the number of clicks, what is the number of impressions, what is the CTR. So if you are keen in knowing that what is the formula, how do we analyze, how do we calculate, I am happy to share that. But this, like, there is some math goes behind it, that if what is my average search volume, so this is what I will consider as my impressions, that is 3,68,000 will be my potential impressions, that this particular keyword has that much capacity, that the maximum number of impressions this particular keyword can show is 3,68,000. Based on this, how many clicks will I get? So on that, there are certain industry standards which you get on a website called as WordPress. So WordPress has a list of CTRs, CVRs, and CPCs according to the industry standards. So over there, you will go and you will search for which industry are you looking it for. Say, for your example, you are looking it for pharmaceutical industry, and if it says that for the pharmaceutical industry, the average CTR is 5%. So what you will do is you will divide this by 5% to get that amount of clicks. So there is where you get the number of clicks from that CTR. Then you get, from that you can calculate the number of impressions, the number of conversions, and the average conversion value as well. So there are certain set of formulas and certain method wherein you actually do that calculation. And if you are keen in learning that, I am happy to share. But that is how the general idea of how we calculate for a particular keyword. This is how we do it.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah. Yes. So moving on, I think so. We have taken a lot of time. Google Ads is a very huge platform to understand, but I'll just cover up the last few overviews of this particular platform, wherein I'll show what are the campaigns. So this is this particular thing which we see over here. So this is a campaign, CM sign spinner. If I go into this, I can see the ad groups, that what are the different kind of ad groups. So ad groups can be, campaign can be shoes. Like, just to give you an example, what can a campaign be? The campaign name can be shoes, wherein I have 10 different type of shoes. but I am just putting it in one particular campaign, that is a campaign named as shoes. When I go to ad groups are something which are bifurcations of those shoes. You know, if you have blue, red, and white, so you can bifurcate those that campaign into 3 different ad groups, that is blue shoes, red shoes, and white shoes. On that particular ad groups, you can decide that what budget has to go, what keywords has to go in those particular campaigns, because you need to target that segment according to the customers or the users search term. So if I go to sign spinner, I have all the keywords which are just in regard with sign spinner. I don't have any other keyword over here. I just have those keywords which, you know, tells me or indicates me towards sign spinner. I don't have anything which is absurd and which doesn't give me a right clarity on what this particular ad group has to say. So this is just an overview of what are, you know, campaigns and ad groups. Then I'll just show you that what are audiences. So audiences are basically the audience which we target, what is the gender which we are targeting, how many clicks are we getting on those particular gender. So we can see that from 18 to 24, we are getting 168 clicks. From 25 to 35, we are getting 302 clicks. Then we can see gender, which gender is dominating. Male has 734 clicks, female has 526 clicks. Then we can see that if based on household income, you know, what are the top 10% people who are coming on our website, we are getting around 300 clicks from the top 10, and we are getting approximately 450 clicks from the lower 50% of the household income people. So this is everything which we can see through this particular matrix. Then if I just go towards all campaigns, and if I see that what is my content, so over here I can see if I have any placements which I'm targeting. So placements are generally what happens is when you create a display campaign, as I showed over here. So this is something which is called as a display campaign. So this particular website is my placement, that where is my ad getting placed. So cars.com is one of my placement. So that is what I can see from placements area over here. I can see all the placements where my ads are getting appeared. So over here, if I see, so these are, you know, different kind of websites. If I click on this website, I can go and see that, okay, where is my ad getting shown on this particular, landing page. So this is one tool wherein you can see all your display campaigns, where are these ads being shown and all. If you go to settings, you can change all your settings. You can you can select where do you want to target this particular campaign. If you just go this side, you can see that where is the campaign being targeted. One is in Los Angeles, one is in Las Vegas, one is in Atlanta. So you can see all those settings, and you can do changes based on that which particular campaign do you want to do settings. So ad scheduling is something which tells you about when do you want the ad to be shown. So over here it's for all day, but what you can do is you can select a preferred time wherein you only want to show your ads between 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. So you can add those ad schedulings over here wherein your ad is going to be shown between 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Palak, just to add on that particular point, you can also do the ad scheduling wherein you are restricting the time frame wherein your ad is going to be shown, and that will in turn save your cost as well. Why? Because you are showing it only at a limited point of time and to a limited user. So your money getting wasted, the chances of your money getting wasted will reduce drastically as well. You can also target it based on devices as well. If you want to only show it to desktop, if you want to only show it to computers, or if you only show it to mobile users, so you can also do that over here as well. That's it, I guess. Going into the depth, it will take a lot of time, and I think so I've consumed a lot of time of yours. If anybody is interested in learning more about paid search or digital marketing in general, me and Greg, we are always available. You can hit us. You can catch us in the campus and tell us that, okay, please show us how did you do this? What is your mindset behind creating these campaigns? What is the strategy which you use? So we will be happy to help.
Thanks, Parth. Yeah, thank you guys all for coming. I know it was a wealth of information, and we could spend hours on this instead of one. It really takes a long time to become an expert, but cracking it and getting everything to work together is the secret between it, and then getting the reporting and the analytics and finding out what works. It's more of an art than a science. Stay tuned for more events later in February. We got stuff from Google, Vagaro, Ripple, all coming up, and you will hear more from it. So I'll end this for the sake of time, and I'll see you in class in 15 minutes. Thank you, Dr. K. Thank you, everyone, for coming. I really appreciate your time. It means a lot. High five.
Thanks,
Bye.
everybody. Bye.
Bye-bye.